there is no value to be an exchange. We are not an exchange. Yes, you can exchange crypto in euros or in stablecoin with Coinhouse, but you can do it with Revolut. Is Revolut an exchange? No. No, it's a bank, it's a broker, it's a financial player. My vision, my future is not to be a broker, is to be a bank, regulated as a bank, but a crypto bank. But at the end, there will be a separation between the role of a marketplace and the role of the one discussing with the client. And the clients facing are more like the broker, the banks, the asset manager, and so on. I do believe that the value is not on the exchange, but more on the client facing. I've always been against travel rule in implementation. It's useless and it's a big issue in terms of privacy, security. Just remove it and just, if you apply normally the level of control that you have to apply to the inflow and outflow that's coming on your platform, you should already be able to make the right adjustment. You accept or you don't accept transaction.
Nicolas, welcome to the New Money Podcast, the show where we talk about crypto and hopefully find out how the future of money looks like. Behind me, as usual, I've got the Lydian Lion, which is the oldest coin in the world. And Nicolas is building Coinhouse and shaping how the future of money looks like in Europe and beyond. Thank you so much for being here with us.
I'm very happy, Ferdinand, to be with you today. Very proud of being part of this amazing podcast and very fan also of what you've built as an entrepreneur.
I appreciate that. When we prepared for the episode, we talked to a number of people that have worked with you in the past, and we learned more about the Coinhouse story. And I actually learned that you guys started, and correct me if I'm totally off here, but you started in a shared company with the company called Ledger, right? Which is a well-known crypto hardware unicorn today. And only after a couple of years spun out and pursued the opportunity as an individual venture. Walk us and the audience through that journey and how that came to life.
Yeah, in fact, when the founder of Ledger created the company, that was more than 10 years ago, he created at the same time a company called La Maison du Bitcoin, the House of Bitcoin, Coinhouse. And it was a physical space in Paris, like a store, for which the main idea was to educate people about crypto, about Bitcoin, to help people to buy easily Bitcoin, even in cash at the beginning, and to buy also Ledger device in order to safeguard your Bitcoin, in fact. So you had a kind of all-in-one solution with a physical store where you could understand what Bitcoin is, learn how to secure your Bitcoin, buy a Ledger device, buy your Bitcoin, and then get your Bitcoin on and do what you want. So that was the beginning. 21st transaction was 2014. And then everything moves fast. And in 2017, the business of Ledger and Coinhouse started to become very significant. And at this time, it was decided that the two companies have to be separated because one is really a hardware company selling hardware device everywhere in the world, on the internet, in physical stores and so on. And the other one is kind of transactional financial company. So you need to apply KYC, you need to understand your customer, and probably at one point in the future, this type of company needs to be regulated. And the idea was to separate them. I was an investor in Ledger. My background is venture capital. I spent 16 years working in VC before across Europe. And I put a little bit of my own money in Ledger at the very, very early stage. I was always very close to the Ledger funding team. And they called me in 2017 and suggest that I could join the ventures, become one of the managing director, which I did. And a few weeks after, they told me, well, we have this opportunity. We want to spin off Coinhouse. Do you want to become the CEO and just spin out the company? So buy Coinhouse from us, which I did. So with my two other co-founders, we put a little bit of money. We bought Coinhouse. That was at the end of 2017. So it's almost now 8 years ago. And we raised some money. We became independent and the best and the worst started.
And we'll talk about all of that. Walk me through that moment in time. I mean, 2017, how did the crypto world look like back then? Who was competing in Europe? What was the landscape like?
The market was more like around 1 trillion, so 1,000 billion in total valuation. Bitcoin was really the main asset, but even if Ethereum started to become independent, stable coins were not so developed. The main player in Europe there were a couple of main players, in fact. In France, for instance, were mostly using some solutions such as Kraken, Bitfinex, some guys that we don't really discuss about anymore. Coinbase was not really well known. Companies such as Binance was created almost at the same time. I mean, it was probably in 2017, so they were nowhere in Europe. DEX solution, decentralized finance, was also nowhere. It was very at the early beginning. And some people were using also some alternative solutions. There was this company from Finland called Local Bitcoin, where you can even exchange your Bitcoin directly face-to-face, meeting people. You can imagine how dangerous it could be today. There were also some other companies that have disappeared. Some I don't even remember the names. It was quite fragmented with a lot of people using Kraken. The market was quite small also. I do believe that the penetration of the market at this time was probably only a few percent of the population. And some of those guys were already in the market for years. I mean, some of them started in 2015, 2016, and so on. So we had this role, also being French, having a physical store in Paris. It could be very, very helpful for people who do not understand crypto, do not understand Bitcoin, do not understand how you could buy, how you could keep your crypto, what you could do with it. The idea of being able to talk to someone, to get educated, and then to buy easily was an amazing one. But it was not a scalable one. So, and then after 2018 arrived and the market changed, and that was one of this bear market cycle that we had to cope with, and it was tough. 2018.
Thanks. And I know these, by the way, I know these local Bitcoin guys because we have a subsidiary in Finland, right? And this was a Finnish company. So we talked to a bunch of these folks.
Yeah, they really have changed totally there. I've not heard about them for a while, but
it's over. It was a wild company, but it doesn't exist anymore. But that was like the main Finnish crypto company.
Yeah.
Funny, different world. And like, what was your thesis initially on the space? Like, you mean, you had a couple of players in there. Like, what was your thesis and about your right to win and how you wanted to play?
I have to be very transparent. My thesis was, it took me something like 6 months to really understand where I was putting my feet, because I spent 16 years working in venture capital. I've been financing many companies from the semiconductor space to internet space to the SaaS space to AI, data, and so on, but never small investment in Ledger. I had no clue about what was really blockchain technology. I understood Bitcoin a little bit, but I had no vision really. It started to become much clearer at the end of 2018, in fact. But still, at this time, there was I had an amazing opportunity. First of all, we were not alone. I mean, the Ledger guy was very close to us, and my two co-founders are also one of the first employees and co-founders of Ledger. They know a lot about crypto. They know a lot about this market, and I brought to the table the financial market vision. So what was our conclusion very quickly was, first of all, if we believe that in this market, it's really because we do not believe in the entire destruction of the financial system as it is, meaning that there will be no bank in the future. Everyone will be his bank and will not use any more fiat currencies, but only Bitcoin to do whatever we need to do for payment and for savings and so on. My vision was more like there are amazing technology around crypto, and those technology will be used probably to transform part of the financial and the payment banking industry, especially because I started to understand a little bit more about smart contract, about the programmable money and so on. Then I understood that this market will really challenge the financial market at the end. At this time, I had a weak vision about this transformation. I saw, okay, it's going to maybe to be transformation of, let's say, maybe just the stock market. And I didn't thought about the payment and the overall financing market and so on as I believe right now. But I say, even if it's a stock market, it will mean that it's going to be a market which will follow the rules of the stock market, at least from a regulation point of view. One of my first outcome was, okay, this market, if it survives and if it makes sense, it will be a regulated market. Otherwise, you will see no market which will be valued trillions of dollars without regulation. No one in the world, no countries, no regulators will accept that, okay, there is this amazing market that we don't talk about, which is absolutely not regulated, but we have one which is regulated. I mean, it's crazy. No one will be, which means that the funny things and crazy thing about Binance at this time, or Bittrex or some other, which was, okay, you can do a transaction with just putting an email, was totally crazy and was impossible in the future. At one point, you will need to apply a lot of rules. So one of my first ideas was to go and see the French regulators and all the people in France talking about regulation, financial regulation. So the financial market authorities, but also the treasury and some congressmen and so on, to talk about our market and say, hey guys, this is an amazing opportunity. This market is not regulated, but it has the opportunity to change the financial market. Why don't you talk about this? Why don't we talk about this? And it will be important for us also to be regulated or to have a clear regulation, because we see already banks starting to blocking us because they say, hey, you are doing money laundering, or you are doing fake transactions, or you are creating risk in the financial system, which was wrong. But if we don't give them the appropriate answers, those guys are going to kill us at one point. Or we'll need to leave France and go in Bahamas or whatever weird country to establish our business and do it from here. So my idea was, oh, hey, I'm starting my business from the traditional financial industry. I've been one of the key men and managing director of a private equity fund. So I know about regulation, and I think that you won't survive, you won't make money, you won't transform the world if you don't follow the rule. So one of the first outcomes was really it's going to be regulated. So let's talk to the regulators and let's get prepared. And the outcome was we help and we even co-write the French regulation, which was called the PSAN regulation, which directly inspired MiCA. And we were the first one regulated in France and probably the first one regulated in Europe. And that was in March 2020. So that was one of the first outcomes. The second one is there is no value to be an exchange, which is weird because even today, Ferdinand, I'm sure that you will call Coinhouse an exchange. We are not an exchange. Yes, you can exchange crypto in euros or in stablecoin with Coinhouse, but you can do it with Revolut. You can exchange dollars into euros. Is Revolut an exchange? No, it's a bank, it's a broker, it's a financial player. So everyone in the industry is calling a crypto platform an exchange. Like people are really narrow-minded, or they know only one word probably. So hey guys, look at the financial market. Who cares about the exchange in the financial markets? The financial market exchange are Nasdaq, Euronext. I mean, who's talking about those guys? No one. I mean, just read the Financial Times. There are almost no articles talking about the Nasdaq itself. Everyone is talking about asset manager, insurer, banks, private banks, hedge funds, private equity, whatever, the bankers and so on. So, but if you remove Nasdaq from the financial world, everything collapses. So there are key elements of the financial market, but they are one of the less interesting players. In my vision of the financial world will be a tokenized financial world, then the market will replicate. So we will need exchange. If we don't have marketplace to exchange values against other values, there will need no price. So if there is no Bitcoin price, if there is no tokenized bond price, there is no market, no interest. So obviously the role of exchanges is key. But it's a role which is, first of all, usually only regulated players are able to work at being the client of exchanges. It's a very low margin, very high volume, high technology, high security market. So my vision is the Binance, the Coinbase and so on, from their exchange activity, Either they will move at one point to become this infrastructure and they will be the equivalent of NASDAQ. They will be an amazing job probably, or some other will do. But at the end, there will be a separation between the role of a marketplace and the role of the one discussing with the client. And the clients facing are more like the broker, the banks, the asset manager, and so on. I choose my role. I do believe that the value is not on the exchange, but more on the client facing. First of all, I don't have the opportunity and the technology to be an exchange. In 2017, there were already large exchange in the world. There was one exchange in France, Premium, that started in 2011, and they have difficulties to develop their company. So I thought also that, hey guys, there is one French company trying to be an exchange. 7 years after, they're still nowhere. So I do believe that it's not the right positioning for me. Let's be a broker dealer, a prime broker, and in the future we'll become a bank. So my vision, my future is not to be a broker, is to be a bank, regulated as a bank, but a crypto bank. But a real bank, I mean, with the banking regulation, and I will offer banking services based on the blockchain rails. I'm not interested in manipulating traditional fiat currency. I'm interested in only manipulating blockchain assets. But this will be in maybe 5 years, 10 years, because it's going to take a lot of time. The second largest point is, okay, no interest to become an exchange, be a broker, and let's move to bring asset management and other regulation on the table. The third point, my third outcome was when I took over the business, we were very small compared to the large player. And we had little technology. There were only 5 people working at Coinhouse when I took over the business. You don't create a large company with 5 people. I was less smart than the Bitvavo guys, for instance, who started at approximately at the same time, and they built an amazing company. Okay, I decided to do something which is different. At Coinhouse, we had this positioning of being able to talk to people because we have this physical office, and there is a huge difference when you are able to do face-to-face meeting and talk about crypto. You are able to create a kind of reinsurance about this investment, which suits very well with the premium customer. When you want to invest 10,000, 100,000, 500,000, 1 million euro in crypto, are you going to do it with a weird company established in Seychelles, with a team in somewhere in China, not able to speak English, with a weak interface, no KYC, and so on, and their bank is somewhere in whatever shitty country? So you probably need reinsurance. And at this time, we're able to bring reinsurance because you can meet us, we can create a good relationship. So we started to work with premium guys. And over the last year, we've built a very significant customer base with premium customer, either B2B or B2C customer. And our difference is when we look at, when I talk to my competitors, which are also my friends in some way, and we compare our asset under management with the number of our customer, it's totally different.
Interesting.
It's totally different. The difference be times 10.
Okay, awesome. So what you're saying is like 3 pillars for the thesis. 1, the market will be regulated, because and exchanges will be separated, and then a focus on the premium high touch customers. Lots to unpack. Jumping right in on the broker exchange separation. I think that's actually really interesting. And I mean, we had even crazier things, right? Where like FTX had a broker exchange and a market maker. Do you feel on the exchange side, actually, I've been thinking about this a bit, like, do you feel that there is a really great institutional exchange out there? Like, I feel that FTX really was that to a certain extent, and they still left a gap that is yet to be filled. Like, what's your feeling around that market?
I saw, like you, that FTX was a great financial solution. I mean, financial grade or institutional grade solution, but it was probably fake in some way. So the interface was good, but it was on the activity and the order book side probably fake or partially. I don't feel like today there are good exchanges. I don't think. And to be also very clear, we don't, at the end of this month, we won't source anymore our liquidity to exchanges. So we'll source our liquidity to other type of players, which also need to source their liquidity from exchanges at one point. So It's just replacing one step by another one. But yeah, I feel like we need a good solution. I don't see any solution right now.
A friend of mine is building this, so if any VCs are listening, I can introduce you to the guy. I feel the same way, right? It feels like there's something left. I mean, FTX was obviously a scam, but kind of served a really important purpose still, right? Before it collapsed. But interesting, and there are these examples in Europe specifically, right? I think Bitpanda is a broker only, right? Bitvavo
Yeah,
as well.
they removed their exchange business, and
Yeah.
I think they sold it.
Yeah, we had Josh from One Trading. I think they spun it out. They raised some money individually.
Yeah,
We had him on the show very early on.
exactly.
Yeah.
Bitstamp in some way had a good solution, but then now they are part of Robinhood, which create a kind of more difficult situation, especially when you work. In some way, I don't feel like Kraken is a competitor because we have such a different positioning. With Robinhood, I feel like we are already competitors.
In terms of like the focus on wealth management and the client relationship and these kind of things.
Same for Binance. They're not really, I mean, the Binance customer are probably not interested in being Coinhouse customer. And it's true on the opposite. And I think that the Binance customer will be narrowed because the guys that are already in the market today are already in the market. So they've probably been there for years. They know about the market and they like maybe trading and they like what they have. But the ones that are coming now to the market or will come in the future will be far less educated to trading, far less interesting in the value proposal of those type of company, and they are looking for more customer-centric solution with less offering, far less product than what Binance is offering.
Yeah. Really interesting. Let's talk about regulation briefly, right? Because you mentioned this was kind of like the first part of that thesis. I feel like that France is competing to be the number one jurisdiction for new CASP and MiCA applications. I mean, Circle went there.
That was the past. It's not anymore the case. Huh?
It's not anymore the case. Talk about it. What's changed? What was the past? What is the present?
I don't know if it's because of me or not, but France put a regulation in crypto in 2019. It was approved by the French Treasury at the end of 2019, December 2019, and 2 months after we were regulated. That was March 2022. 2020. At this time, it was very early stage. What was funny about this regulation, it was a true regulation. Contrary to what was happening in the US and in many countries in Europe, this regulation was at first defining the activity, saying that, okay, if you do this type of business, then you have to be regulated and you have to follow those rules. And they were defining the business, even the portfolio management, the advisory, the brokerage business, which was separated to the exchange business. So at least they were smart enough to separate, to understand that this is not the same thing that operating a marketplace and operating a broker. So that was quite good because at least if you have a definition, then after you can say, okay, I'm doing this business, so I'm regulated and I need to be PSAN, or I don't need to be regulated, because they were saying, okay, if you do this type of activity, then you need to follow those rules. If you do this type of activity, you need to follow other rules. At least it was very good because you know in which cases you were, and at least it's good to develop your business so you can talk to your partners, to your banks and so on, and say, hey, I need to be regulated and this is my regulation, or I don't need, and that's what. So that was really good. And then MiCA appears, and MiCA was also quite influenced by bank. There was I was part of the MiCA discussion in Europe. We did a lot of lobbying, and we saw also a lot of banking business lobbying in order to influence the decision maker. And at the end, the MiCA regulation is really tough if you really take all the definition and all what you have to do and you really read it carefully. What the French administration wants to do. It's probably not the same way to understand MiCA and read MiCA in some other countries in Europe. So you start to see some difference. Secondly, the MiCA regulation was done quite quickly, and unfortunately, they missed some stuff. And some regulators are focus on those issues. It could be around DeFi, the fact that you cannot provide a yield product on EMT, that EMT might be considered as payment instrument at one point also. There are a lot of loopholes in this regulation. I think that some countries have taken a pragmatic approach. I don't think that the French regulators has taken a pragmatic approach. So I feel like they're losing momentum compared to some other regulators, where you see more company getting the PSAN, the CASP regulation. There are a few guys in France who got the regulation.
Who's doing a good job? I mean, we had the guys from KuCoin on the show and Bybit, who both have opened up shop in Vienna, Austria. I feel they're kind of pushing pretty hard on this. Who else in Europe, in your opinion, is driving forward crypto?
Are you talking about regulators or?
Yeah. Where would you go if you weren't in France?
I won't go in Belgium for sure, and probably not in the Netherlands as well. I think it might be Germany, or from what I've seen in Germany, or maybe in Austria, people are a little bit more open, maybe.
Yeah.
To the regulation. I will look at Spain as well.
And do you feel it's like largely a MiCA problem, or is it largely a French regulator problem? What's your perception?
I think it's an interpretation and a lack of consistency between regulators in Europe. I don't think that I have to be regulated in France anyway, so I will have to go. But I think that my threshold to get to be regulated is much higher than the one from the other country, from what I've seen. And I'm very, very happy to have a discussion with another CEO, and I know quite well in details and in very, very detail MiCA, so I can ask questions and I can see if they can answer or they cannot answer. How would you do this and this and this? If they have the right answer, then that's fine. Otherwise, if they don't answer, then it means that they have an issue. And today, when I discuss with some guys that have been regulated with MiCA, they don't provide the answer. Their regulators have approved them without checking or without considering one of the MiCA items. Think that you need to segregate the funds of your customer from your funds at all time, including where you get the liquidity. You need to apply this type of methodology as well. You need to get this in place and so on and so on. And there are players that don't do it.
Who's not doing that?
You will see, maybe we'll see if ESMA at one point or some other, if the guys that are, the regulation is two parts. There is the one that are giving you the license, and there are the one that audits you. And so we'll see if the audits, because the audit teams are always different from the one that gives. And we have been audited, for instance, 2 years ago by the French banking authority. And we told them, well, this was seen in our application and so on, and it was the rule. And they say, we don't care. I mean, it's not, we are here to see, even if you told them and they give you the license, that was not good. So this is the way you have to do it. So try to understand what you can understand.
And if you were able to change one thing about the situation and the state of regulation today, what would you change?
I've always been against travel rule in implementation. So I feel like it's useless and it's a big issue in terms of privacy, security. So I won't apply travel rule.
How would you change it, or just scrap it completely?
Just remove it and just, if you apply normally the level of control that you have to apply to the inflow and outflow that's coming on your platform, you should already be able to make the right adjustment. You apply, you accept or you don't accept the transaction, and if you have to do a suspicious declaration, then you do a suspicious declaration. That's what we do already. So I won't apply it. I think the travel rule is just an influence of the banking authority and about the FATF who push it a lot. I was in Vienna in 2019 when they invited the private sector, the crypto private sectors from all over the world to discuss with them. They already make the decision at this point. I mean, we were even trying to discuss with them, but they were just absolutely convinced that the travel rule is the absolute solution. Even if they wanted to put the travel rule without the regulation regarding AML CFT. So at least if all the platform were doing the right job in terms of AML, CFT, that would be already a great improvement, which is not the truth at all. And I can tell you that even in the banking system, when we have issues with flow, with money flow, in a significant portion of the time, it's always coming from the same bank. And they are not necessarily traditional banks, but I can list you the name of the European banks that obviously don't do their job, because I don't know why do they accept those type of customers that obviously are trying to do some bad transaction, and they're always the same.
Which banks are they? Just the neobanks, or
they're mostly neobanks. Yeah.
Is there one that's specifically worth calling out, or?
Don't want to give a specific name, but some of them are French, some of them are from some other countries. Yeah. But you find I've been reviewing we have a monthly committee regarding risk management and so on, and it's always the same. Always the same.
Let's wrap it up with a couple of quickfire questions. 16 years as an investor, what's your favorite deal?
Ledger.
Has to be Ledger, right? I mean, did I get it right in the beginning that this was like your only private investment before?
No, I did a couple of them before.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say Ledger, and the second one is Dataiku. But I like the Ledger one because I've worked quite a lot with Eric and the funding team from even before 2014, because I was there before the launch of Ledger in 2012. So I've been really watching and discussing and yeah, I think it's the second one is a company called Dataiku, which is a large company in the data and AI space.
What's the crypto company except Coinhouse that you respect most?
There are quite a lot. I would say Bitrevo.
Yeah. Well, what have they done well in your opinion?
I've been impressed by what Mark and his team has been doing.
Anything specifically that you like about the company or the product?
What surprised me is I don't like the product. I don't feel like the product is amazing. The story is I mean, the growth, development, manage its development and succeed to grow was impressive. Is impressive.
Yeah, and he's a really down-to-earth guy, right? I visited him in the Amsterdam office a while ago, and strong in-person culture. Everyone heads down executing. So I agree. Really, really impressive stuff. And final one, like, how do you feel about crypto in the States?
Well, they want to recover a situation, and it makes sense. I mean, they are one of the leading financial center in the world, and they've been pushing for that for years. And I even did not understood what the previous administration, including the Trump administration before Biden, were doing about crypto. And the SEC role was absolutely insane. I mean, those guys, they just want to put you a fine and get 2 billion out of you. That's it. They have no more intelligence than this one. So that was their previous activity. I mean, are you a security or not? Like what?
Right.
Some people are looking for alien. They are looking for security. Are you a security? Why does it mean? Because if you are security, you mean if you are a security, you need to pay them. So you need to pay a fine. That's what they like. They like money. They eat money. So that's the job of the SIC before. So I mean, they were nowhere because of that, and then now they do things right.
No, that's funny.
They will definitely recover and probably create something big. And probably the largest innovation in the space will come from the US now, unfortunately. It doesn't mean that we don't have to hurry up and to do something, but I do believe that they will.
They usually do. Last one. What's the next focus market for you guys after France?
South of Europe.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining us today. This was an amazing conversation. I appreciate you taking the time. Everyone who listened, thanks for tuning in, and see you next week. Bye.
Thank you very much, Ferdinand.